In March 2024, South Korean golfer Yeon Ryu shocked the world with a retirement announcement. In a personable social media post that further highlights the first-class attitude of the LPGA veteran, she shared a 2-page handwritten note on Instagram, which read, "After deciding to retire, I spent much time looking back on my career," Ryu wrote in a note posted to Instagram. "So many memories came flooding back, and I felt so many emotions. But the more I thought about it, the more I was thankful for so many things. I am so grateful that I could do what I love to do, day in and day out, and even make a career out of it. I am not going to lie, I had some hard patches, but despite some of the challenges, I truly enjoyed it all." Come then, let's look back on a storied career and explore what made Yeon Ryu a legend of the sport. Ab initio. Very little is known about Yeon Ryu's childhood and parents, barring a few details. We know she was born on the 29th of June 1990 and has a younger sister, So Myung, whom she lived with in Seoul, South Korea. Up until her second year in school, Ryu wasn't interested in sports, never mind golf. She was an avid fan of music instead and loved to play the violin. However, at some point in her second year, everything changed and she swapped her bow for golf clubs thanks to the co-curricular activities at her school. This change would mark a significant turn in the direction of her schooling because Ryu went on to study sports business at Yonsei University, completing her degree in 2013. It was during her college years that Ryu signed up for the LPGA Tour. She was about 17 years old at the time and began her time on the tour in Korea. Before that, Ryu had steadily established herself as one of the golf prodigies in the country, so much so that she was part of the 3-women team picked to represent South Korea at the 2006 Asian Games. Much like the Olympics, the Games are scheduled every 4 years and involve just about every sport one can think of, including those not included in the Olympics. In the previous game in 2002, Ai Miyazato, a Japanese prodigy, stole the show, clinching gold in the women's golf event. With Ryu in the fray by 2006, there was no chance for Japanese dominance again. Instead, South Korea ran the other competitors riot. Ryu would go on to win gold for herself and the team as well. And it wasn't just a simple win either. She bodied the course, shooting 66, 66, 64, 67 for a 29 under par total and a 9-shot victory. A year later, in 2007, Ryu participated in the Queen Sirikit Cup and led the South Korean team to an astonishing 20-stroke victory. She bagged lots of individual honors in the process as well, including a 12 under par total for the week. These numbers put her 6 shots ahead of fellow teammate Hae-young Choi and 12 shots ahead of the third-place contender. By the end, Ryu had helped South Korea win the event for the 10th time in its 30th attempt. Ryu goes west. Yeon Ryu's game started to spread into the West when she partook in the U.S. Women's Amateur in 2007. However, it wasn't her best start to life in the competition as she lost in the first round of match play despite coming 4th in the stroke play. Later that year, still only 17, she decided to go pro. By February of the following year, she had already entered her first professional event in the Cactus Tour, a minor league. Her time there proved eventful as she won the event by 6 shots. Not one to slow down, Ryu moved up to the KLPGA Tour, where her presence was immediately felt. Her first ever event on the tour, the Sports Seoul Open, was a massive success. She won the opening event, beating her rookie rival Choi by 4 shots. Although Ryu hit the ground running, the events that followed next didn't go as great as the first one. But that didn't stop Ryu from bouncing back at the Korean Women's Open. It was easily the most important event on the tour, and Ryu found herself up against Ji Yae-shin, a superstar by KLPGA standards. In the final 9, Ryu's brilliance kept her in the lead with 4 shots ahead of Shin. But the latter was not to be deterred easily and caught up to the rookie star by the 17th hole. Eventually, what followed was a tightly contested 3-hole playoff, which Ryu lost. It was a hard loss, having relinquished an early lead, but coming second at a major? Well, there are worse places to finish. This loss would prove cataclysmic in the grand scheme of things, as Ryu would succumb to 9 back-to-back top 10 finishes, including 2 second and 1 third-place finishes. Although Hae-young Choi, her rookie rival, endured her fair share of second-place finishes within this time, it was Ryu leading the pack for Rookie of the Year. Then, in an ironical twist of fate, Choi won her first event, the Lotte Mart Ladies Open, while Ryu came second. This marked another shift in Ryu's momentum, as Choi dominated the spotlight with more brilliant plays. Ryu, on the other hand, seemed to be in the slump, fading from the spotlight by the day. That wasn't helped by her disqualification from the third major of the year, the fourth KB Star Tour event. She seemed to be holding her own until making an illegal drop from a bunker. Choi, on the other hand, who had been behind the entire event, seized the opportunity to advance, but lost to Shin in the playoffs. Another second-place finish was enough to help Choi leapfrog Ryu in the rookie rankings. Then came the St. Four Ladies Masters, which was co-sanctioned by the Ladies European Tour. Ryu and Choi were going head-to-head as usual until the final event when the former lost. This gave Choi the final push to clinch the Rookie of the Year title. Despite a tumultuous campaign of high highs and low lows, Ryu had done enough to earn her place in a dance number alongside 4 other top stars at the KLPGA Awards show. By the start of the 2009 season, Ryu was done playing. She hit the ground running at the ANZ Ladies Masters, producing her best showing outside of South Korea since going pro. She finished tied for second. Her first event on the LPGA Tour, the J-Golf event in Phoenix, was just as eventful, but the South Korean golfer missed the cut. But unlike the previous year, this loss wasn't the start of a faltering run of form. Upon returning to the KLPGA for the opening season, Ryu took a backseat as Hee Kyung-soo dominated the tour, winning the first major of the year. Ryu kicked things up a notch at the Deuce Match Play Championship, gradually inching her way through the field and winning 3 sudden death playoffs. At the final, she faced none other than the in-form Hee-young Choi in a match that kept everyone on their toes from start to finish. After 18 holes, both golfers were tied. It took 9 sudden death playoffs for Ryu to emerge victorious, taking their total playing time to 7 hours and 11 minutes from the first swing. No other golfer worked that hard for a win in 2009. The win sparked a domino effect, as Ryu would go on to notch 2 more back-to-back wins after just 2 events. She joined the few golfers in KLPGA history to score 3 straight victories. But Ryu wasn't quite done. She went on to beat Soo to the Player of the Year lead and money list. The duo would spend the rest of the year wresting the titles from each other, but it was Soo who emerged with the title eventually, after Ryu lost a playoff at the penultimate event of the year. But it still wasn't a bad year for Ryu. She'd won about 600 million won, bagged 2 second-place finishes in the Player of the Year and money list, and finished 3rd for scoring average. The year 2009 was when Ryu put herself on the map as a world beater. By December, the Soo-Ryu rivalry was back on as both golfers faced off at the China Ladies Open, the event marking the start of the 2010 season. Although Soo took the lead into the finals, Ryu caught up to force a playoff before eventually winning a hard-fought victory. Surprisingly, this was her last victory in the KLPGA Tour for the 2010 season. This meant she didn't emerge as the 2010 Player of the Year. But that doesn't mean her numbers were a joke either. She bagged almost 400 million won, a 4th place finish on the money list, 14 top 10s, a first professional missed cut, and 5 finishes outside the top 20. The 2011 season saw a rejuvenated Ryu take the first KLPGA event of the season by storm. She eventually lost out to Hye-Yoon Kim, coming second in the China Ladies Open. Despite the decent start, Ryu spent the next couple of months struggling to break into top 10 finishes. In fact, at the Lotte Cantata Open, she was already trailing by 4 shots after the first 2 rounds. Then, things turned around in a flash as she blitzed through into the final round to claim her first victory in a year and a half. What followed next was arguably Ryu's best stretch of form. At Colorado Springs in July, she competed in the US Women's Open due to her top 5 finish on the KLPGA Tour in the past year. 2 rounds in, she was already in a great position. After several delays due to rain and playing multiple rounds in one day, Ryu had come within shit of the lead with only 3 holes to play. The lead turned out to be her old rival, Hee Kyung-soo. But Ryu wasn't a rookie anymore and leapfrogged Soo to win the major, thereby becoming the 3rd youngest woman to ever win the title, behind Inbee Park and Se-ri Pak. This also meant she was the first Korean to win that membership at the US Women's Open, and the 2nd Korean to get into the LPGA Tour after winning a major, after Ji Shin. Joining the LPGA. In her debut campaign on the LPGA Tour in 2011, Ryu established herself as one to watch. She'd enjoy an illustrious career on the tour, notching 5 top 10 finishes between 2011 to 2019 and winning the tour 6 times. Her worst finish was 23rd place and never lower. Between 2012 and 2014, she won several events and trophies, including the 2012 Louise Suggs Rolex Rookie of the Year, the 2012 Jamie Farr Toledo Classic, and the 2014 Canada Pacific Women's Open. She won her second major title at the ANA Inspiration at Mission Hills against Lexi Thompson in a match that involved extra holes following a controversial penalty to the American. Ryu would go on to play 3 international crown teams during her LPGA career, including securing a victory on home soil in Incheon, South Korea in 2018. Other victories in 2018 include the Meyer LPGA Classic. Before that, she won the LPGA Player of the Year in 2017 after winning the Chevron Championship, and between June to November of that year, she was ranked number 1 in the world. The year 2017 turned out to be her most prolific year yet, as she also won the Walmart NW Arkansas Championship that September. By the end of the campaign, she had won 11 top 10 finishes amongst other individual accolades, like the Annika Major Awards. Her most recent victory came in 2020 at the Korea Women's Open. Now a veteran, Ryu's last LPGA event was the BMW Ladies Championship in October 2023, when she finished T68. The Korean golfer clarified in her retirement announcement that the Chevron Championship from April 1821 at the Woodlands, Texas would be her final event. It'd also be her first event of the 2024 season. A glorious end to an amazing career for the Korean.